Hey, there we go. Maybe. Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2, and we're back. So it's been a little while since I've done a stream. I'm happy to report that I'm back on here and happy to share with you guys some of the updates. So it's been a lot of updates since the last time that I was on here. So I've really wanted to kind of keep my head down and focus on some of the work, just because some of these latest updates have really taken a lot of tedious and time consuming tweaks. And most of the time when I'm like talking to people online and like really getting into the chat and stuff like that, I just kind of lose focus on what I'm trying to actually achieve. And so I wanted to make sure that I got some of these new features out, and I'm sure you guys are enjoying them. The Dying Light 2 community continues to shrink down a little bit, and with official patches coming out like 1.8.1, I can, they're starting to lose a little bit of their user base, just because, they're updating the weapons, they're trying new things. It does look like they are actually trying to pull in some of the original features that they originally wanted to have in the game. As some of you know, that as I've been doing some of the work, sometimes that breaks things, and I don't think they can actually afford to break things as easily as I can. They got the whole company kind of to where I don't think they want to have too many failed launches, so to speak. So I get it, but at the same time, I'm going to continue to progress these updates. Let me actually pull up the Discord really quick. So just, briefly, if you guys have not been a part of the Discord community, please check that out. I do try to get over to the actual Nexus as much as possible and check the posts, but it is much easier to get your feedback in and have those conversations early on the actual Discord. So if you head over to the Discord, I'll quickly summarize some of the channels. So if you've joined the Discord and you're really wanting to get involved with what's going on, mainly the main thing you're watching is this release channel. That's where I'll be posting every time I have an update. Some weeks there'll be more than others, but for that I have released. So if you want to become part of the Patreon, big shout out to all my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for your donations. I appreciate your support. If you want to become part of the Patreon, I do have an automatic updater that will allow you to quickly run it. It'll pull the file, you can immediately install and get into the game much faster. The download rates are so much faster actually than the Nexus, unless you have like a professional account on the Nexus, which I do, and it still, it does take a little bit longer. So because of that, please feel free to jump on the Discord. Please, if you get that automatic updater, that is a huge benefit to some of you, hopefully, and please keep me posted on how well that's working. So I'm going to actually go ahead and share out the stream, as I see that people are starting to show up. Hey, After Men's, thank you for joining the stream, and no worries, you can always jump back and it has latency. Okay, let me actually see if I can change a setting here. It says I have excellent connection, so maybe it was just a little bit of latency in between. So we'll give it a second. Please keep me posted, and we'll see. Aftermins and anybody else that's sharing, if you guys want to go over to the development share, the ongoing dev share, I'm going to be sending a link here in a second, and that's where the conversation will mainly be happening. So I'll be paying attention to your guys' chats here on the YouTube channel and on the ongoing dev share. So let me go ahead and post. Say. Right. So, kind of some exciting news for today. So I've looked at it yesterday. I was working pretty heavy in the mod as well. As a lot of you know, that there was a lot of discussion with the med kits and getting everything working. A lot of lessons learned there as far as getting all those things working as expected. And so because of that, I wanted to go ahead and make sure that that was working correctly before diving into this part of it. So I will also not be doing the audio today on Discord, just because I'll be trying to watch the chats just because I can't really, a lot of the conversations, if you want to jump on a personal conversation or you want to have like a post where we actually talk through the mics, that's great. I am going to try to blaze through some content today. So I've got an overhaul that I'm working on today, and that's what I'm announcing right now. So instead of doing the War Zones update, which the War Zones update, a large part of it has been completed, which is basically turning on the bases, reamping and rehauling or overhauling the Renegades, the PK, and then the Survivors. The survivors have gotten some new support. So basically the idea here is that now they're able to actually throw UV flares. They're actually able to properly use their bows and arrows, get up higher, shoot down on zombies, all those cool features. And so Warzones was, to cap everything off, is also going to include an overhaul to the bandit system, which that is going to take a good amount of time. So that's going to be like a chunk. And I just discovered some new code yesterday, which actually I'm excited about because I've been promising and talking about this concept of the loot overhaul for a while. And so one of the things I want to try to progress today while it's still fresh is going in and actually doing that update and expanding that loot system inside the world even more. So the crafting system and the loot system, I have a couple of ideas that I want to put in there very quickly to really expand those systems and make the world seem a little less dead. And then once I have that in there, I'm going to switch over and work specifically on volatiles today. So I have some big updates that I'm going to try to get in for our volatiles and actually make them more interesting inside the world and get some new variations for them, make them a little bit more interesting. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to be watching for comments on the Discord. I'll be watching for comments here on the YouTube stream. If you miss me, make sure to just join the Discord channel and give me a shout out. And look forward to you guys catching the stream next time. So I'm going to kind of go through and just kind of talk through as I develop. So if you have any thoughts or questions, make sure to leave them. Okay, first and foremost, some of the things that I've been looking at. So this upcoming update that I'm looking at for doing Hunger and Thirst, for those of you who like survivor mechanics, I think I actually have a pretty fun way of getting that in the game to where you can turn it on, turn it off based on preference. And so that won't have to be like going through the installer just because, you know, if you like that idea, I want you to be able to like use it when you want to use it and turn it off if you're like in the middle of a quest or trying to do something and that mechanic is kind of stopping you from being able to play. And so okay, one of my Patreon supporters actually just jumped on and mentioned a bug that he's been encountering. So also a quick update on that. So there has been that continuing bug. Basically, if you mess with the inventory system whatsoever in the game and things have conflicting bugs or conflicting mods or anything like that, you are susceptible to having your inventory completely wiped out. It will wipe out everything in your actual inventory, but that should be fixed as they update every mod. Let me type up a quick message before we dive in here. All right, so what we're going to be focusing on today. So one of the things that I think makes this actually a perfect update as far as the loot system goes is that one of the things when developing Dying Light 1, you have to watch out which files you actually want to add to your mod, because if you add them to your mod, you will always have to update them. So every time a new update comes out, you're more likely to break the game if you are using files that they are pretty much always going to update. One of the biggest ones, of course, is the inventory system. New game objects is going to be the most common one, weapons, skins, all that. And sadly, the mod is already down that rabbit hole. So every time a new update comes out, it completely breaks the mod. So I have to continue to update. That can be because they've added a new Santa hat, they've added some new thing to the game, and if it's not properly added to the list, it will just crash right away. And so I do apologize that is the case with the mod. It's just kind of the nature of the beast there, is that As you continue to expand the actual capabilities of the mod, you're also responsible for updating it as you go. So that's just kind of one of those things. So because I'm already down that rabbit hole, as I mentioned, this update and overhaul to the loot system will allow me to continue to get in new fun ideas, while also I've already done the damage of having those files, so it's not going to really kill me to go a little bit deeper and add more content or features to those lists. So let's see how that goes. And one of the issues, and so more people are jumping on the Discord and actually leaving feedback. So it looks like, as you continue to modify or mess with this inventory, every single time there's an update, there's a good chance that people will end up with issues inside of their inventory. And that's actually what I'm getting right now is more people reporting where they've got bugs inside their inventory. So it is one of the concerning things with doing the loot overhaul is that more and more of these will happen if not done properly. So it's kind of a tedious as you go kind of thing. But let me type this message really quick. Okay, so one of the things with the loot system, so the primary files for the loot system itself is going to be inside of inventory, default loot, and item sets. And so as we expand the system, basically we can reside in those areas. If you're working with med kits and that kind of thing, it does have buffs. And so I'll go through and kind of identify what you'll need to look for as you're modifying those files. Matter of fact, I've actually got one of them up right here. So you'll have let me go ahead and cancel out all of my searches and everything, and we'll go ahead and clean this up and start fresh. But basically, we have the concept of the buff system. So anytime you have a buff that is actually a status effect that's going to take place in the game, and then it's going to hand off on some of them over to the different files. So either damage definitions or healing definitions, that kind of thing, health definitions. So you have to kind of go find where those files are actually getting sent over. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and let's clean some of this up so that we have a little bit less noise here. Okay. Very curious. We've got another bug report that Elian Eldian Devil is reporting right now. He's actually been pretty active on the Discord for a little while now. And with the bug that he's reporting, a lot of that is probably going to come from that new health kit update, which is interesting that he's having that. Try to focus on this here. So many comments on the Discord. Usually the Discord stays pretty active these days. So let's go ahead and pull up a couple of files. So we're going to go ahead and pull in the inventory. We're going to go ahead and pull in item sets for now. And then I think we can probably just keep these two. So we'll say move to other view. And more than likely we'll actually do a clone as well, so that we can see both of these here. So basically, one of the things I was going through and looking at while I was looking at the med kits and the update to the health system yesterday was that there really is a lot of potential here for a lot of future updates, and this system working, or this system expansion being pretty easy to do. I think the challenge here is how does it go into the world? How does it impact crafting, and what does that mean for the different systems? And so as we go through this today, I'm going to kind of piece it together, and we'll just kind of be playful here and see how it goes. I'm going to actually go ahead and create a new branch as well. So Warzone has been my running branch, but we'll go ahead and say feet. And I actually had a huge amount of success with the config yesterday and getting some of these new features hooked up to the config. So I'm excited to see what I can get put in there here in the future, to see if there's some more configurations we can get set up to make that a little bit easier. So let me go ahead and search his crash file. This isn't right. Say this isn't long enough. This looks like a bad. Yeah, I don't know if you're on the stream or not, but immediately this didn't look right. So because of that, I'm guessing most of the time when you check these launch files. So I've gotten to the point where I check these things pretty much every time I launch now, just to make sure that there's nothing that is messed up in there. But you are gonna get a bad CRC from my data too, because I have so many new game objects that are coming in. But the fact that you've got a bad data 0 is concerning, and also whatever that data 7 is, I don't know if that's causing the issue or not. But I would probably start there, reinstall after verifying your files, and that will probably tell you a bit more. Okay, so back to this. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go down on the files here. So we have two different types of things. So we have like valuables, and then we actually have craftable objects. So first I'm going to be starting with craftable objects, or maybe I'll do valuables. Let me go down to the valuables really quick and see what we got here. So, they added some things to the world that are basically so that you could go in here and find things around the world and then sell them. And because of that, it's interesting they've got a couple of things in here that are some like pre-order things. I don't think I saw those before, but I always thought it was funny that they went and made like toilet paper. And I think the funniest part of that is that they actually made it like a bracelet for the mesh. So if you drop that, it's like a valuable, but it's like toilet paper. So all the things they could have added, they added toilet paper as like a, something that you would try to find. Well, I was thinking about this more last night, and I was trying to think like, okay, if we had to go in here and update this to be a little less frustrating and a little bit more quest based, a little bit more survivor friendly, a little bit more open world. I wanted to start thinking of things like, how could we say like, okay, what are some things that the player would be able to go find, and because of that, how can we link these into quests, and how can we make the world a little bit more interesting? And sorry, I'm still trying to like read and work here. So things like aspirin and the morphine have gone away. So I've turned those into med kits. You still find them in the world, but the hope here is that you find them to craft the med kits. We'll leave those. But as far as like these go, let's start adding some new ones. And kind of the fun thing here is that might be able to we might be able to actually go in here and find meshes for these as well. So instead of just having the actual loot visuals, we might also be able to have some meshes. So let's go ahead and pull some of that up as well. So let's go ahead and get my search started. And basically we're going to go in here and grab this. So this is just pulling up the entire exposed archive, and this is how I basically go through and search. But I think it's going to be static mesh. what the end name is, but let's see. So basically, you can pull up some of these. You have skinned mesh.pre, which all of these are the ones that are actually going to go on the body. And then you have mesh.pre. And this should contain all of our like meshes that don't move. So no animations, none of that. Some of them have animations applied down to them, so I guess that's not technically true. But if we want to go in here and say like bottle, there's a bottle. So we've got some bottles. So we can actually go in here and add, some different bottles to the world and kind of find out what looks right. And this takes me back to like Fallout 4. And so this is kind of Fallout 4 vibes here of trying to get these set up in the world and then doing some testing to make sure these look right. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create the concept of bottled water. And it looks like we could probably even find one that has like a bunch of bottles in like a kit and maybe even spawn those to the world. That'd be kind of fun. Let's say like bottled water, water, bottled water. And then here, we're probably going to need to go under each one. So some of these have names. So this is kind of sad, y'all. So this is how I figured out how to do the actual names and descriptions. Where's one that has description? It's sad that this eluded me for so long because it's so simple. But I tried a couple of different things and I could just never really get it to work back when I was trying this before. And again, just so sad because if I had known about this a long time ago, I would have designed each one of these things with names, with descriptions back when I made them. But essentially, they're making a call to some repository somewhere. I still have never figured out where they have this, but I did learn that the reason that they're doing this is because of all the translations. So because of that, they have a lot of translations that these are being sent over, and so it's converting that text, and so I get it. But at the same time, it leaves, some of this to where like, oh, hang on, does this actually work? So previously, I was trying a bunch of different things, and it's just a string value, and so I should have gotten this sooner. But essentially, we just go in here and erase that. No asterisks. I was trying to use the asterisks and everything else to try to figure it out. Or I think those were ampersands. So let's try this. So say bottled water. And then let me actually throw over an answer to the Discord really quick because I see several people talking here, so I don't have time to read through everything here, but basically some inventory bugs, things. Okay. So one of the ways I've also been going through, so they have a lot of icons that are kind of hidden in the game that they didn't actually end up using. So I've still been really frustrated with not being able to get custom content into the game. Hopefully that will change here in the near future. Still looking at some things. I found a new link. I thought I had one the other day. Didn't work out. Really disappointed. But we should be able to go in here and type this. But essentially, so I've been trying to build off what they currently have in the engine. As time goes on, I will eventually figure out how to get more things added to the game. But for now, just kind of working with what we got. So see, it looks like we got a couple of ones underwater. So we got underwater plant, water tower, water reward icon. Like it. Let's try it. All right. Sounds like a win. And then for the water bottle, let's actually grab this bottle. And I don't know if this is actually going to be a water bottle, but when we test in the game, we can actually find out. And then this is going to be blue. Blue for agua. All right. So technically, that's now an item in the game. That's pretty much as complex as it gets. So if we want to go in here and give it a better price, so that you could actually say this is a valuable, you find it in the world, and people care about it. Maybe 200 is a little steep. I don't know. For apocalyptic survivor. Also, I want to try to see if so you could even potentially work in this whole thing of oh, what if we wanted to add water filters? And so I find water filters, and the water filters, or even purifiers. You can find all sorts of things, and then you combine those two things, and it gives you fresh water. So you start out with dirty water, turn into fresh water. There's so many different things you could do here. So, for example, we could say bottled water, refreshing water from before the fall. Never been open. And then we could go in here and say dirty bottled water. Here's to it. Montana. It's always one of those things where I don't know if you guys have this, but when I type out some of these things, especially in code, your spelling just goes out the damn window, because even regular words that you're yeah, that's right, right? Just don't, you spell them, you're looking at them, and you're sitting there going is that right? That can't be right. There's no way that that's actually right. And it turns out to be right. So we did it. Hey, Jorge. Hey, Fox. Hey, Zetar Benjamin. Thanks for joining. Looks like my window is way too low here. I also got Effort Fighter in the room. Thank you so much for joining. And then Jorge added Old Water. Could potentially survival system. How many? Yep, so Effort Fighter, if you're still on the line, that's exactly what I'm making right now, is leading into that discussion of having a survivor mod for the game, and something that you can toggle on and off. So we say contaminated bottled water. And I'm probably also going to want to check that bottle mesh first. Yeah, exactly. Jorge, exactly what you're saying there. So that's what I'm looking at actually today. We're going to try to write all this today and see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But yes, that's essentially the idea of what I'm trying to do today. So we have contaminated bottled water, and what we'll do is we'll change the color here to white. And we'll set the value here to something super low. It's 5. And then let's see, any other forms of water. And I'm also going to be trying to check over here on the discussion. So if you guys have any other, as we're going, if you guys think of items, shout them out. If anybody's thinking of stuff do you think would be cool to add, I'm going to be going through just making a ton of loot today. So if you're thinking of ones that you actually would really like to see in the game, start adding them, because I'm gonna start going through here. We got lots of ability here to move through things like electronics and different things. How those could then get turned into actual game objects and actual weapons, all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of things we could do here. So please give your feedback. I'll be watching. All right, so we have bottled water, we have dirty bottled water. I think first, before going too much further with those, I'm going to actually save these and let's go look at them in game. So let's go see what these actually look like. Basically, for this, if you guys haven't tried this before, I actually wrote one that I guess I'm gonna need to pull that. I don't think I have my prefabs on this branch. Yeah, I don't have any of my prefabs. I'm gonna switch branches really quick. Grab my prefabs. So the base building prefabs are coming along really well. Basically, what I've run into with the base building is that you can't rotate the objects. You can There's no way. They've got like their entire prefab system set up to where it's got static rotation. Everything else is working. I just can't rotate the stupid objects, which for base building that would bug the hell out of me. So I've been looking at ways to write something that could dynamically change the rotation, and that just doesn't exist in the code, at least nothing that I've found yet. But what I did find is the ability to add physics so that you create like an object like a concrete barrier, you create physics, it actually lands on the ground, and then you use something like a rotation hammer or something like that that has physics applied to it that does no damage, that you could actually go up to the object and tink, 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 rotate it. Hate it. Can't make any real like serious bases with that, but we'll see. Kind of super frustrating, but we'll see what we get with that. Let's see. We're gonna grab this, and then yeah, I think that's everything I need there. And because it's also got a mesh on it. Let me see if we can actually get something a little bit better here. Base wall. No, that's more complex. It's gonna be the same thing as like a, I want physics added to it. So where's my wall? Base spawner, base wall. This is the actual wall. Where is the generator base wall? There we go. Perfect. Destroyable. It's technically destroyable, which I don't want. Maybe I do. I don't know if you can pick that up. Let's see. How are they doing loot? I guess, hang on, I need to back up a little bit. How are they doing droppable loot? They've got the actual. No. Okay, let me switch over really quick. Hang on, this is why I can't do the streams and talk, is because you actually have to follow these things quite a bit here. So hang on, stash reapply. Inside the inventory system, they're using the simple physics script to drop the object. So when they are dropping the objects, they're using the simple physics. Let's actually go over here to my file. Let's say open folder, open. What else is using simple physics? Flare UV is using simple physics. That's the actual full thing. And then the inventory files, skipping right on down here to the bottom. So they're attaching it on runtime when they create the object. So because of that, I think you could probably go in here and say, what is the, I guess I haven't looked into creating lootable objects on the ground, because they have the concept of like, so you have the trash cans and the containers and all the things that you search, but as far as like having a loot object, you have the concept of a looting place. So let me see if I can actually just go in here and say, maybe there's a way that we can actually add some loot to the world as well while we're here. It's going to take a little bit more work, but essentially, I was looking at it before, and basically, they want to also affected, produce blames, make it lead to the health. Yep, exactly, Jorge. Thanks for adding that feedback. Of course, bleeding systems, love it. That's why I created the basic bandages so that you can stop bleeding. Also, so that you can stop infection. For item suggestion, taser and electronic spike. Taser is reusable for dynamite electronic weapons. Sure. Just one thought there before we go into weapons specific, because weapons are going to take a lot more work. If you can think of things that are more specific to more specific to like lootable objects in the world that you would want to see. And I'm trying to think. So they have their containers. They have the concept of containers, but they don't have the concept of like. I mean, all of this is semantics. I won't go down this rabbit hole just yet because all I have to do is just drop it. So hang on. Let's just go in here and say save inventory. Yeah, because I was gonna actually try to add them to like the world, but instead of going down that rabbit hole, let's step back really quick because there's a lot of work that we can get done here today. I'm gonna end up going down that rabbit hole and then I'm gonna fight it all day long. So. One of the things that I've learned with a stash. So you guys may have seen this stash file accidentally get released a couple times. You may have seen certain things filter out. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding more things to the stash. I found out new ways to add specific unlockable outfits and that kind of thing through their code. And so as we progress, I'll continue to be adding new custom things. But if you go down to the prototypes, I've actually started creating custom bundles that I use for testing. And actually, while we're at it, we can say basically doing this bundle approach is way faster. I was originally doing it item by item in the stash. My God, the amount of time wasted just messing with stupid stash, especially when I was making the armor, that was a nightmare. And so you can technically go in here and just create bundles. So we'll say loot bundle. And let's go back to inventory, grab our bottled water. And then over here in stash, so we'll save that. And then in the stash, we'll go in here and create the concept of 01, which is going to be a DLC with cooldown. So that we can, basically the difference is that if you do it just DLC set, it only gives it to you once and that's it. If you do with cooldown, you can keep getting it. So then we'll say loot bundle, save. And that's it. We should now have that inventory, or we should now have those new items added to our game. And let me make sure I'm continuing to watch the boards here to make sure nobody is trying to reach me. Nope, still doing good. So let's go back and we're going to pop open. So also just for newcomers, if you guys aren't used to my streams before, top left is going to be the actual extracted game files. And then bottom left is going to be the actual mod. And then over here to our right is going to be our actual source. So this is where the mod is getting installed into. Most of the time, these aren't things that you guys actually have to worry about unless you're trying to create your own mod. And also another thing with using Git, you can actually make sure that you hit save because when you're sitting here writing all this stuff, the amount of times that you just accidentally hit launch and you didn't save the file that you were working on and you test it and you're like, why didn't that work? That was supposed to work. And it just turns out you didn't hit save. Always a fun one. Jorge, there should also be there should already be settings in there that basically I've kind of forced it. If you crouch with no flashlight, most of the enemies shouldn't detect you unless you're making noise. And so currently they had it set to where the multiplier was actually lower, and I've greatly increased that multiplier because of all the additional sensor code that I've done. And so you should have pretty solid, um, you should have pretty solid uh, stealth now when you're crouched. Please let me know if that's not the case. I hate that this is an older save, but this is gonna be right here at the loot. And then Grandiodiorite. Grandiodiorite. Very cool. We'd be tweaking with the weather and atmosphere. So there should be an older weather and atmosphere mod that I created that was much later. I think that was around 0.6 that I created the weather mod. It should be working as expected. Some people have reported that they're not getting weather changes in the first city anymore. And so I've been meaning to go back and test and confirm all of that works as expected. Last time I was running through there, I was getting fog. Like here we have fog. I haven't seen rain in a little bit since the latest update, but we'll have to see. So if we go in here to extras, we should be able to scroll down. There we are. There we go. We have contaminated water. miscellaneous.
Finally.
So if we go down here, so I can actually access my inventory here and drop things. Actually, I guess I could have up there. But if we go to crafting, I guess it's going to show up in collect. No, I guess it should show up in as a valuable. And so that's probably the issue there, is that I have it set up as a valuable, which you find under, I forget where we find, where's that menu? Where am I thinking of? That shows all your valuables. Somebody help me out here. Because I thought it was in the center before. Am I wrong? Skills. Inventory. So that's also a problem. So it should actually be showing up as a craftable. I've set it as a valuable, but technically what I would want to do with that is set up probably the oxidizers kind of look like bottled water. Guess that need to be well differentiated. So inventory, it's in the center, not under crafting. Why do I feel like there was another menu here where you have all of your actual oh, backpack. Yikes. Okay, I found it, y'all. So here's the two waters. So we have bottled water. One of the things that drives me a little crazy is the fact that you can't capitalize your objects. So you guys will know in the future. You guys will know in the future if it's modded, because it will all have lowercase. Frustrating. I haven't found the actual way that, I'm sure there's some character I can add there that will change that, but for now. So if I hit drop and hit drop one. Oh, it's like a whiskey bottle. Okay, well, we're not going to do that one. And I should have made the two different. Next time I'll learn. So this time we'll go in and we'll actually set these up, and maybe I'll keep them in the same place for now. These are not going to be valuables as much as they'll be craftables. So this is why we duplicated. Let's see what we got. Scrap. Yep. There's going to be item type craft component. And this is how I'm changing those. So some people have asked before, like, is it a valuable or is it a craft component? It's literally just here. And I will say, Foxborough, I think that was terrible UI. The fact that I could not find the stupid loot. Those were my valuables. I couldn't find them. So as a designer, I'm offended. But it's fine. So what we could do is basically bottled water is refreshing water that for now is a valuable. Then you have things like dirty water, that the dirty water is actually a crafting component that you could turn into the valuable. And then you could also add it as something that you drink. So for example, make it a med kit. So if we wanted to actually turn it into something that you could drink, you can also do that right here as well. Also, I probably need to go ahead and start the actual new section as well, because I haven't done that. Let's go ahead and organize my code here. That way we're not searching everywhere for these things. It actually speed up a lot of things if I just pull this down, because there's a lot of things on this page. So we'll go ahead and grab these. And that will also help us keep track of new game objects in general, so that we know how many have come in here. And we can also categorize them. So say like survival. And then let's do the med kits as well. So let me see my aspirin. Clean bandages, food, dried food. So let's go in here. We'll grab these as well. So these are brand new game objects, so they don't need to be up in here in the main area. Another way to differentiate is that they actually have classified what their stuff is by actually adding game versioning to all of it, and so because of that, it's actually a lot easier to see what's official and what's not. And then we'll go in here and say food. That's the food. Go in here and say medkits slash health. I would have beer as well. Um, and then effort fighter. I thought that there was water in the game, but when I was searching through the items, I could never find water. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh yeah, yeah, model. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna find it. It's definitely in here. I just actually let me say water. Maybe I should have said water first. Water tower. Of course, it's like one of the most popular items in their entire game is a water tower. They really took the whole approach of what was it, Activision? That really liked their towers before. Climb the tower, activate the power grid. What is that? Far Cry. They really pulled a Far Cry on that one. Let's see. Skipped around a little bit. So we got a walking area, garbage bags, waterfall. Waterfall, interesting. Back for you. So I actually tried to edit the world models the other day. I found out that that is actually baked. So I have confirmed that they definitely baked all that stuff. Ubisoft, thank you, not Activision, Ubisoft. Um, so they have absolutely baked that stuff, and so you can't actually go and um, change that because I would be adding all sorts of stuff. I tried to add. Basically, the idea was is I wanted to add ways to jump over the walls to the bases so that you could make the spawns super heavy around the exterior bases because I really think the door thing is really stupid. That actually makes no sense to me. It's like, it's post-apocalypse. You've got a door that enters your base. I mean, that pretty much is just asking for eventually somebody to leave the stupid door open, and then you also don't have anybody defending it. But yeah, maybe canteen. I was hoping that ocean water, ocean bottom. Some ocean stuff in here. Ocean water. I actually sometimes I like actually just going through here as well because you never know. There's so much stuff in here that they didn't actually use. So if you're ever just looking, for fun to see what all is in here, there's so much stuff in here that is not actually in the game. Water buoy. Pretty sure that one's definitely in the game. Water heater, water mine. A water mine in here. Oh, there you go. Let's put some water mines out there. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, Verdi, thanks for joining. No, absolutely. It's not really a team size thing. I was just saying that as far as that whole approach of it's like a tried and true thing at this point of have your player climb something, and then once they've climbed something, have them flip a switch, then have them zip line down. That's just kind of a joke, just because as a UX thing that's been done. So yeah, it definitely doesn't. Wait. No, that's water tower as well. We're still going through trash. They have a lot of trash. Um, was that a wooden pallet? Water? No, also water tower. I water box surface. Water bottle. We did it. All right. Water bottle. Should have just tried bottle. Um, let's see. Oh, I already did do bottle. It was just water bottle. Should have tacked that on to the end there. Well, a lot of people have been frustrated with the game. I'll continue to say this. I think the engine has enormous potential. Like I think that if they continue to support this like they did over the next 7 years, um, then I think they could get so much done in this game, especially if they're building off the first engine and the idea of the carts and all that stuff. I'm just really nervous that they're going to make it a little bit too much. Okay, so we have canned food, we have water, so technically I think that should be good to go. Let me keep those items. Let me actually just quickly launch and let's confirm that these are actual water bottles now. And we'll keep moving on. So some of the things that I'm coming up with as I'm going. So one of the things is like, for example, if we wanted to have different things that you could throw in the environment. Last night I had overhaul ideas galore on throwing weapons and all sorts of things that I think I could get in here pretty easy versus having to do a complete overhaul. But it's one of those things of like timing. I also appreciate the Patreons they've gone on and also given their feedback. They voted on the Patreon site of what they would like to see next. So I am trying to be mindful of that and also keep my focus on some of the things that they've mentioned. Which currently the top, it's kind of a tie between infected updates and custom faction code. So the War Zones overhaul is meant to help with custom factions that will continue to get in there. I think one of the biggest things that's kind of slowed me down on the factions is just kind of how strange their spawn code is in general. Yesterday I was adding a lot of that to the config, and I've got a lot more of that tied to the actual config now. If you guys haven't seen that yet, but you still end up with just so many like, why is that messed up kind of moments that I don't think I've entirely understood why some things with the spawn system are happening the way they are. And so because of that, that makes me a little bit more hesitant to dive fully into a solution specific to um, different groups in the environment. If they're not, like, for example, by that I mean like a faction. So if you have like a faction, then they're more than likely going to roll together, kind of thing. And if they're going to roll together, then now technically I should have. Did I not grab it? Oh, I didn't grab it. They're going to need to like stick together and band together and have interesting interactions between the two, kind of thing. And so because of that, I've moved a little bit slower towards the custom factions than I originally wanted to. But I do think it's still doable. I think it's just going to take a lot of time to get that going. Huh. Either it has no material on it. That's interesting. Maybe they didn't finish the concept. Maybe it's actually like a mesh without a. Yeah, it doesn't have a texture. Doesn't even really have a proper bottom. It looks like it's actually combined with another mesh. So I'll look on there again and see if there is a canteen or some other device, some other one that we can put on there as well. Just because that's not quite as immersive as I was hoping for. So let's see here. And I could also just keep going down the bottle list. I'm sure somebody in this game has a bottle, water dispenser bottle, water dispenser bottle. I'm gonna just try a couple of different ones, and when we circle back around, I'll test these again. But let's make our next object. So has anybody else thought of some good ones? Because I'm gonna keep making watering can. I know what that is. Has anybody else thought of any ones that they would like to see in here? Any specific? Um, yeah, exactly. I feel like maybe they were making that bottle and then they ran into legal issues or something. I'm gonna actually also just go down the different bottles here because I'm sure there's one of these bottles that will get us in the direction that we want to go. I mean, hell, if their toilet paper is using a bracelet mesh, we don't have to get it perfect, but I would like to at least put in the time and effort. Um, which I guess that's a question: is do they have toilet paper? Toilet, modern, portable toilet. Like, did they urinal? I'll make it a urinal. You just throw an entire urinal down. Paper, newspaper, paper roll, office paper roll. It's better than a bracelet. Rescale, parachute. What do we say? Roll. There's probably less things on here that say like a bandage roll, right? Like a bandage roll is kind of like toilet paper. I'd rather have a bandage roll in there than I would a bracelet. But let's see, toilet paper. Let's try it. I'm gonna just throw it on there. I'm gonna see what it looks like while we're here. Screw your bracelet, man. Okay. Okay, so we've got bottled water. We've got dirty bottled water. So what if we came up with like a filtration device? So we say like filter. No. They had a water dispenser. They had a, let's go from the back. So they had a water pipe, watering can, water trashes, water hole, water decals, chemicals, water box, water cylinder. That's where they had kind of like a dispenser. Is that what it was? It was like a ledge, electrical box. Well, I think we all know. So, Effort Fighter is really hoping that. Um, gosh, why do I always mess up his name? In It's so bad. Vic. I think you're really hoping that Vic is going to jump on the channel today and let you know how he feels about the storyline. um, no, I don't really think that the storyline was quite as good as it could have been. Um, Obviously, they rushed. I've heard all sorts of different stories about the actual um, canning of one of their developers and all that good stuff. And all I gotta say is like, yeah, that happens. I hate that it actually messed up the game as bad as it did, if that's the case. But those are one of the things that you have to budget for, and if you don't budget for them, then you know happen. Water filter. Um, let's say purification filter. So this way you have this idea that you could actually find like a water purifier. If this doesn't work, then what I could do is do iodine pills. So you could use iodine pills, water purification filter, dispenser. Okay. I think I'll go ahead and add those while I'm at it. So we have a water dispenser. Watch that be like this massive object. Green. No, I mean, absolutely. But I think there are several other games. I mean, I was looking back at the game the other day, I was playing it. The graphics are phenomenal. I don't care what people say. I mean, as far as like the forest and all the things that they got into the game, the beautiful trees and the vegetation, I mean, it's impressive. I'm very happy with the actual visual aesthetics of the game. I felt like they could have been better, but in hindsight, anything could have been better. Um, Purification. I think their open world concept is actually pretty good. I think they have a lot of content there as far as, or at least they have the potential for a lot of content there. But I think that if they just ran out of time, let's see, bottled water that appears to be contaminated. There's space there for some reason. Used to clean your dirty water. But I think it's one of those things where, uh, there's a lot of potential here. Essentially, at this point, with the amount of work that I've managed to accomplish just by myself, I kind of think of the game itself as a demo, where they just kind of got the concept roughed out. As far as the story goes, it is very specific. Um, and because of that, it's one of those things where there's probably going to be so much more content coming onto this game here in the future. But for now, it is what it is. And so, hopefully more modders like myself come in and start making more. That's why I do these videos, is that hopefully somebody else will see this and see how easy it is to create loot, and we'll get more loot in the game because, it's only one of me. If you got like 50 other people making hundreds of loot items as well, then you can have a pretty diverse, loot system in the game, as far as craftable objects, things you can pick up in the world. I'm gonna get started and get some things in the game, but it's always like a call to action. If people want to take their time to do so, then that always helps. Um, let's see. So this is actually $100 bottled water filter. Got $100. Yep, yep, yep. So let's see, stash or prototype. Let's go here. We'll add a water filter. And basically, as a simple concept, let me show you how we set up the actual crafting system. So once we've got these things set up, this is a crafting component, this is a crafting component, this is a valuable. And yeah, exactly. They just released kind of a demo version, an initial concept. They're getting their money back. They put out this product. It's getting money. It's generating revenue, and so they're going to continue to develop over the next 7 years or however long to flush it out. And it's a shame that it ended up that way, but I think they're aware of it. I think the whole world is kind of aware of it. The Dying Light 2 community has sadly fallen very low while people wait for new content. And those people that know about the mod, have hung out, and I'm glad we have the community that we have. But for the most part, I think the other day, so we're right at about 800 users on the Discord, and there's about 2,000 users a week playing the game. So we've almost captured everyone, and so because of that, we'll just see how that community continues to grow, and if we can get some more content, if more people start to come back. Sadly, that will only be PC players though, so we'll have to see how that goes. Also, is the audio? I know before people have mentioned that the mic is not as good as it could be. It's because I don't like wearing a headset while I do this. But I'm also happy to switch over to a headset if you guys are not able to hear me clearly and that kind of thing. So please just let me know if the audio is a problem. So next, we're going to go over here and look at crafting. So for that, it's collectibles. So this is actually the crafting section. We're going to go do what I already did, where we're going to say like bandages, and we're going to grab all of this. Food is not a craftable currently, so that one's not in the list. Down here to the end. As you could make the concept of like making a meal. That's kind of fun. You go get all the ingredients and you could actually make food. Not sure people want to play to that level, but you could put buffs in there. You could put all sorts of stuff. That's actually kind of a fun idea. That's very much like Fallout 4. They had their chem lab or whatever. You could actually do all of that if you wanted to. I'll think about it. Med kits, health, and then down here, yeah. And then so we don't have food. So then let's go down here. We'll say survival. And what I'll do is I'll probably just take one of these. It's a collectible, so it's not specific to medkits. So what we can do here is we'll say craft plan, bottled water. And what we'll do is we'll actually, to make it a little bit more as well, let's say bottled water and then let's say purified water. So we have water that's been purified. That is not as good as bottled water itself. So if you go and you make purified water, you can actually get some money back off of that. It's a valuable. It's got the water record icon. I love that that icon is just sitting there. That's really funny. Thanks for the eye contact. But say purified bottled water has been purified and bottled. All right. So then that way, bottled water, like actual refreshing water from before the fall, we'll even call this old world, old world bottled water, which you can't add those hyphens. I learned that the hard way. So old world bottled water. And that will actually be, I'm going to throw a little bit more, I'm going to make that a little bit more pricey. So that way, if you find that in the world, you can actually go sell that for some decent cash. And then purified. And then, so back on the collectible side, we have craft plan, purified, bottled water. What is that required to make? Well, it requires, switch our view here, down here at the bottom. So if you have dirty bottled water, you have a purification filter, one of those, we'll say like if you have like 3 bottled waters and a purification filter, you can make the crafted object bottled water. Boom. And we'll do based on your success rate, you get 1 to 2. And then we're also going to steal the water reward icon. And we'll make the, so this is mainly for the traders. So we'll actually get rid of these, let's get rid of those alternate prices because, so the ability to make craftable bottled water will give us like a solid 250. And we'll add this as like white. And then here we also have to do 250 and then required. And I think you can actually just clear alternative price and then it uses the primary price. So token price, required, get rid of this. And look at that. That is my mistake because I left in another little thing there. So basically, I wanted to try to make it to where you could purchase these different things using actual tokens. So you can go through and purchase these different things as well for aspirin and morphine. But I did leave in that required condition. And so those should now show up in the shop. So sorry for that. So purified water bottle. So what we should have here is say purified water, dirty to clean, water to survive another day. Okay. So then in our stash, we'll go and actually, or not our stash, but our prototypes. Let's go update all these things. So we have water purification filters. We have a craft plan. So if we want to add this to our inventory, and then under our actual inventory, we have dirty bottled water, correct. And I get caught for this all the time where we have the names, I update the name and It's no longer what I originally put here, but it looks like I've stuck to it here. So let's change that. Now I got some crazy people outside screaming. All right, so we'll go ahead and launch the game. And the end result here should be is that we should be able to now copy over the code, or we should be able to actually pull from the stash. Sorry, get distracted easily these days. Should be able to pull from the stash and actually get that available, and we should be able to craft the actual concept of purified water. Now, what I'm going to do as well is actually make that a med kit. So right now we have the ability to say that we have a valuable, but then we're also going to make that to where we could actually take it as a med kit. So we'll say continue. And I need to actually get this to save so that way I don't have to do this every time. I go run around here in a second, just long enough for it to quick save. But if we go down here, get all this new water stuff. And then under crafting, we should now have this water tab. So you can see here that we actually have our contaminated bottled water. We have our water purifier. So we can actually go in here and say craft. We do that, we get purified bottled water in our inventory. Nope, I didn't use a med kit. I'll get that added to where it shows up in a med kit as well. But now we have purified bottled water, old world bottled water. And let's go drop a couple of these things to make sure we've got the right visual here. So let's drop one of these. Drop.
Finally, they're trying to reach you.
I don't want a glass
You
bottle.
gotta help. They're gonna attack old Villador, and when they
Anybody else hate the fact that when they do their little intro speeches or whatever, it just you could like go, you can actually die and it will continue. When you come back, it'll
nobody there
kind
will
of keep.
survive.
Okay, so these were the same. So I'm trying to think. That means the crafting resource. Hey, Zinku, welcome from Argentina. Let's see. So under crafting, it would actually be a resource. So here's a contaminated water bottle, and I guess we can't drop crafting resources. A water purification filter. Interesting. So we can't drop those two things. So because of that, I can't test the bottle because I think I actually put the new bottle mesh on one of these. And so, but as you can see, we do have the concept of actually having old world bottled water, purified water, and we're going to go in here and we're going to turn the purified water bottle is actually going to get turned into a because technically just because there is the concept of purified, so technically these could be valuables, but instead of doing valuables, let's turn these into health kits because you could then decide if you want to sell them or not. Let's go to my bandages. And basically, we're just going to upgrade these items a little bit here to where instead of a valuable, it's going to be a health kit. We'll have a max stack for these. I do apologize. I'm sorry. I don't actually speak Spanish. But thank you for joining the server and the session and the stream. I hope you're doing well. I do apologize that I can't speak Spanish. It's very non-compliant of me. And then also we already know that I guess it doesn't matter what mesh we have for those, but we need to go in here and say bottle A, bottle B. So we know that B is glass. So let's try C. And what we can do here is we can actually go in, and now we have quite a few different ones. So bottled water, we can change this to C or to D, and then we also have an E. So let's take dirty water. It's a craft component, so we can't actually drop that one. So we'll try D and E and see if they're any better. And then canteen. That's funny. All right, so actually there's a canteen here as well. So maybe what we'll do is for the purified bottled water, let's actually change that to the canteen because I like that. And then apparently there's a newer canteen. So actually I'm gonna start there and say, and we'll keep the bottled water the way it is. So that way you have purified bottled water and then you have bottled water. And then this one is a craft component, so you can't actually drop it. Um, and I think I can probably update the code to where you can actually drop it. And I may want to do that. Let me try the new version, whatever the new version is, see if that's actually working. So back here, let's say, we have the skin, we have a default, we have pickup sounds, I think, yep, pickup sounds, use time. Let's go in here and say use time. We'll probably make that like 1. Actually, I'm going to make that lower so that way I ran into this with the food just because I don't want the food to take a long time to actually consume because we don't have a good animation for it. However, if there is a canteen, if you guys can think of, help me out here. I know that during the actual, can you guys think of any other time that you drank or ate food in the game? Let me know if you guys can think of anything, because potentially we can go to that and actually add that animation. So usable on max health, true. And this will show up in our consumable slot. And condition will be 0. I'm gonna have have everybody else summarize the discussion points after we arrive. So healing values, we'll say 25, I think is, what did I set up for the food? Let's go back up here to the food. And for now, instead of having to go and write a new one, what we can actually do is we'll do the use time is 1. This is 0. And we'll actually use the buff that I made yesterday called food small. And everything else should be set. So we now have purified bottled water. So you should be able to actually consume this. purified water instead of bottled. Okay. And then we should be able to go back over here, drop this in. Thank you guys for translating. I appreciate it. It's good to hear. Thank you for the support. Let's see if we can get this working. So we should, at this point, we should now have drinkable water in the game. We should have 2 food objects in the game. So that's the start of a good survival testing. I'm gonna continue on the loot, so that I can flush out some of the new loot systems. But that was pretty quick. I mean, I've been streaming for a little while, but some of this has been discussion. That was pretty quick to get drinkable water in the game, and actually have some new items that you can loot in the world. Now, I have not added this to the loot tables. That's completely different. I will have to do that here in a second. But the fact that you can go and that quickly set this up is kind of the whole point here. Is that, again, the engine is just kind of sitting there. You're able to go in there and create these objects, create this content, and make the game more interesting very quickly. And I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what all I can get in there personally, and also what comes from other modders. Hopefully, if you guys get a chance to review this video, this will give you guys some insight. Add lootable armor weapons from enemies. Oh yeah. Well, so you have this idea of like attachable. I think the problem there, Effort Fighter, is probably so. Effort Fighter said on the YouTube, he basically made the point that like if you could loot the oh no, I don't think that is. I don't think that got set up right. I think that blueprint for crafting water. Oh, damn it! Because I didn't update the collectibles. Um, this hit me last time. I ran into the same problem. You just have to make sure that you update your names as you go here. So let me make sure I didn't update anything else. Um, but basically, Effort Fighter posed the question of like, could you make it to where you find after you kill someone, you take their armor? And this is the same discussion that I was having with somebody else about dropping weapons and that kind of thing. Yes, we got dropping weapons working. That's all set up to the config now. If you want everybody to drop weapons, you can. It immediately changes the gameplay because all of a sudden, in a world where the whole focus of the game was weapons, right? So that's kind of the original game is all about, okay, I need to go find these upgraded weapons. I need to go find this upgraded armor. And that's really, if you look at how they've written the code, that's really the main focus of the game is how can I take the game from the starter player, give you pipes and stuff like that. How can I move you to where you finally get machetes, you finally get these other objects. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. In the first mod, I made it to where you could buy a pistol very soon in the game. All enemies had rifles and stuff like that right away because I don't agree with that, like, it's dragging out the limited content that you have to try to make the game appear like it's changing over time, but it actually doesn't make any damn sense to me because if the world is already dangerous, and I think for this game in particular, the concept is that these are the last survivors on the planet. Like the rest of the world has fallen. They've hoarded all this, materials. They've taken back the city, and they're actually guarding the city, but they have pipes. they have pipes. Military men have pipes instead of all the weapons. And I know for the first game, it drove me nuts. Is that if you looked at Hakon, not Hakon, Hakon, if you looked at Rise's men at the start of the game, they had garbage weapons. But then when you went to his base the first time, there's like guns all on the walls and machetes everywhere, and you're sitting there going like, why the hell are his men out here with garbage ass weapons if you go to their base and they're like armed to the teeth? Made no damn sense. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. So my hope for the mod as it continues is that it changes kind of how the game's focus is to where you can continue to find these things, you can continue to enjoy the game without having to feel like the whole focus of the game is only on the actual finding weapons and that kind of thing. Like there's got to be a better way to do that. And so if you wanted to, you could go turn it on to where you can get higher tiered weapons right away. But the rest of the game needs to be balanced to where that actually, works out well for the play style and that kind of thing. So it's going to take a while to get there, but kind of the hope is that as we go, so I just took some water, and then if we go and actually get hit here, you'll see that it slightly heals me.
They host violent prize fights here in the city.
So let's see.
But that's just a cover. What they're really up to is way more sinister.
And I know I upped the damages before, but personally I still think that, if I can take this top tier character, oh, it didn't buff.
Merciless motherfuckers. But it would keep
Okay.
right, folks. There's only one way
Maybe
to
that's
stop
with
this.
how much,
That's the
no, it didn't buff, so there must be
Qualified
something
with
there
tournament
with
to get
the
your ass inside
with the
turn
buff
control.
still, because that
I'll find you there.
didn't heal me at all. Well, I'm about to revisit the food code and confirm all of that is working as expected. So we have that. Let's go ahead and drop these water bottles as well, just so that we can confirm those are working as expected. But okay, so we were talking about the armor and moving the armor. I got distracted. You guys will have to keep me on topic here. So we were talking about the ability to take armor. The problem that they have in the game is that they're not really serializing the. Oh, we can't use that. It's a whiskey bottle. All right, well, not using that one. And then I used up the other one. So, because we're trying to establish this, like, could you pull armor off of the characters, that will only really work if there is a record in the game that says they are wearing this exact armor, so therefore if they die, it will drop the armor. That has to be done on like for co-op to work and all these other things. That has to be like serialized and like set up properly so that you can actually go and pull those things off of those characters. Currently, it's not. None of that is set up. I did look earlier, so they have this idea of like dynamically binding skin meshes to the characters, and that's actually how I'm doing kind of the overhaul on all of the different new zombies and all that good stuff. But because of the way that they've got the system set up, there's no way to actually go in there and say, I want to specify this exact. Oh, didn't drop. I want to specify this exact mesh that is bound to this exact character. I want that to properly. Let's see if this will drop. Yeah. We know that one bottle is not going to work. So we've learned a couple of things. So first, the buffs look like they still have an issue there. So let's revisit the buffs really quick. But anyway, because of that, I think it will. It's one of those things that we'd have to look at how we could mount the concept of armor to the every NPC, so that when you loot them, it has an index table that defines very clearly they have this exact armor. What you could do is you could make it to where at a 100%, when you loot a enemy body, you get all of their armor. I think you would basically have to take every character that spawned and reference a loot table to every specific enemy. So, like for example, with the PK, you have five variations of the different PK. You would have to go in there and say PK1, PK2, PK3, PK4, PK5, loot table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that you then said if this one character died, I have this exact loot from this one character, and you could do that. There's no reason you couldn't do that. Time, time is of the essence there. I think of where that would take a lot of love. But I think the biggest thing, the immediate blowback I would get, where I just turned off the drop weapons because people immediately said the streets are now littered with weapons, is that people would immediately go, "This makes the game feel, broken. Like I can immediately get good armor, all that good stuff." But I like the idea. I think the challenge here with the mod is that you want to try to guide players into a new way of playing without drastically shifting the game, because if you've shifted the game, now it's no longer what they enjoyed for the reasons that they enjoyed it. And so you kind of have to change your vision there to kind of meet what they were hoping for, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do here is I messed this up somehow, or did I? No, it was taking it. I think the problem was is that it wasn't actually buffing. Before I go and redo this, what was it? The the drop. It didn't have the model dropping. Okay, so let's see. Probably because it's missing this. That'd probably be why. We have the mesh. The mesh is there. You go in here and say, and then under mesh physics script. Pretty sure it had the physics script. Yeah, it's just way down here. Mesh. It may have been because it was missing those. Probably the safest thing I can do here to save time actually is to just go copy this and then copy down the important parts here. Let's take the name and the description. Let's take the stats. Do the buff, going to the right place. And it could be that the object itself, maybe it was not working properly because it was missing some of these details. So potentially this will fix it. So go all the way up to HUD icon there, and then let's get that to 100 max stack. Okay, so I think we can just kill that one. And this is going to be green. Use time, let's drop that down to 1. Food. Use on max health, true. Yep, okay, I think that fixes it. Okay, and then for the guns, so this always comes up every single time. They do it for they're doing it because they want to build up the comeback. So everybody's going to come back when they release the guns. Everybody's going to come back to the game. They did it with the Pursuit as well, where people played the game. A lot of people didn't like the game when the game first came out as well. I mean, a lot of people did. The loyal fans really liked it. If you played Dead Island, but I know that some people weren't impressed with the weapons. Some people weren't impressed with the game style. And then they released the Pursuit, and then a lot of people flocked back. They're at 1.8.1, and what they did last time with the Pursuit is they changed everything to 2.0. So when they released the game at 2.0, they added most of that content. So if that says anything, we're at 1.8. I think 2.0 will probably add the weapons. if they're following the exact same business model that they did with the last one. So we've got the canteen. We know that the um, dirty, is it the dirty or it's the bottled water? This didn't work, so we're gonna actually change this to E. I think it's the next one. So mesh, say bottle, go backwards. Yeah, E. This one says explosive, so I'm guessing this is not a bottled water. I might just go back to that water bottle, even though it's missing its texture. All these other ones are clearly alcohol bottles, so I'm not really sure I like them. I might actually just change it back to water bottle for now and come back to that when I have a chance, because I know it's, you know, it didn't take too much time. Well, we haven't tried E. We'll just try E. Let's just see what we got. Is there a soda bottle? Nope. There's a can. If anything, I can change it to a can. They have canned water out there. Um, so the crossbows, absolutely. I tried to add them to the walls of the Metro Hub. Basically, they did not. So I think Lawn, however you say her name, she does. She has the ability to fire a crossbow at some point during the game, and she is the only one. They never designed the crossbow to go on any other NPC character. And so I believe it actually has to do with her skeleton specific, that they added a mount point, because if you add the crossbow to any of the other characters, it just doesn't work. It doesn't show up. It kills the mesh. It disappears. The animations don't work. Every there's no reference for the crossbow going down to an NPC character. So they even, on the code itself inside the prefab, they even had very specific hacky things that they've done to get it working on her. So I'm not really sure why that happened the way it did. I'm not sure why they did that, but yeah. So I'm gonna check the buffs. You guys are too much fun to talk to. Let me switch over really quick. And I think this was another thing, is we changed this to purified water. So it's no longer bottled. So let's go here. Purified water. And then, so this could be fun. So we'll also go in here and say, so under survival, we'll actually grab the not the oxidizers, but the aspirin. Let's grab this. And then we'll go down here and say, valuable. This is actually a craftable. So say craft component, which it already is because I changed it. So craft component, and then we're going to say valuable aspirin. That's correct. But then we're going to tack on a name here, get rid of the game version, and we're going to say water iodine tablets. Use to clean your dirty water. And you can have a shit ton of these. And then the mesh will keep the same, because basically it's just a bunch of pills, and these are fairly cheap. So then underneath here we say water iodine tablets. And under the craftable, you could then go down here to our purified water, and we could say alternative. I don't know if this works or not. No, what it's going to do is we'll do craft plan, purified water, filter, and then we'll say tablets. And then the idea here is now you can make these things with either or. So you could actually go down here to here and we'll say iodine tablets. And so under the requirements, if you can't find a filter, you can also find a, and we need 2 tablets. Um, I'll make it 2. It's fine. But now you could have the idea of like, okay, so we want the same result, but it uses 2 different ways to reach it. So that way, if players want to do, one, they can do that as well. And then we'll change the name. Um, the iodine or uh, so what is that? Ionized? It's not ionized. Ionized water. It is actually. Is it iodine tablets? Iodine tablets are for radiation. Um, let's see, water purification tablets. Purification tablets. Let's not call them ionized tablets. Or iodine. Let's call them purification. So the science out of it. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. So neither will anybody else. All right. So we'll say purification tablets. So then this uses the water purification tablets as well. And so and I probably could just leave them the same. Technically, it'll show up as available or not available when you go between the two. I wish there was a way to say alternative required. Maybe we can actually go up to. So this is when in doubt, go to the inventory stuff. So let's go look at that really quick. And let's just see if they came up with a way to do alternative crafting here. So collectibles is going to be in inventory. Um, stuff. I'm not sure if it's in here or not. This is actually, it's going to be the definition file. So maybe I'm in the wrong thing. Inventory imports, probably that. Nope. Uh, imports, faction exports. I don't think I've actually ever looked at the faction exports. So I'm a little curious here what those are. Oh, okay. Um, so it's going to be under here, I think. And then can we go in here and say, so where do we find required item? There's got to be like a definition file in here somewhere. Let me say search. Tack it onto the bottom, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Damn it. They have the required items, and basically, I would just really, it would save so much time and effort if there was a way to say you could have this item or you could have this item because that could equal a lot more interesting loot here instead of having to be so specific. Let me see, required item, vendor, switch, logic, switch. What? Can't be a switch. No, this is for something else, different definition. So they don't have a definition anywhere for these. So this is hard coded somewhere. Well, I know they have alternative prices, so you could buy them. So it looks like I am going to have to just kind of do both to get how to get it how I want it, which I'm not a huge fan of because I think the problem with that is that you're going to start to get more and more um, crafting options, and so you're going to end up with like a shit ton of crafting options, which maybe that's not a huge deal breaker, but I know some people don't like that. Too much clutter. So water purification tablets, and then under what was the other thing? So the buff. See, I got distracted again. So under buff, we're basically saying, and let me show you guys how this works. Basically, on the purified water, one of these is saying buff, and so it's activating one of these. Under here, we go to food small, and that's where I've created this one. And that should be set up correctly. Let's make sure that the healing definitions, so under scripts, healing definitions, it should be going to food small. It is. So it really must have just, it must have been how I had this set up, is that it didn't have some files or that one was broken kind of thing. So let's actually go and it's kind of funny. I just had somebody join the Discord that their name is Flashlight, so I'm really curious if they're gonna pop up and ask if I've improved the flashlight yet. So that's added. So let's go ahead and launch the game. And I'm guessing this time, hopefully that should work. But so now what we should have is we have three different types of water. We have the ability to either use a purification filter or a tablet. So if you have tablets, and so that's one of those things that where like you could have, you know, purified water created by tablets that its value is at a certain value, and then one's created by tablets do less. So when it comes to going in there and coding the buff from that, basically when we get to the thirst and survival functionalities, you could go in there and say that one's created by the tablets do not take away as much thirst versus the ones that were created by the filters, generate more sustainment for the thirst values and whatnot. So you can have that split. Right now I've got them filtering into a single one, which is purified water. And so we can also just kind of split those two things as well. And I might actually just go ahead and do that because once we actually get to the survival part of the code, that might move a lot faster. We have those two different things. So if we go in here, grab our loot test here, we got our blueprints, got purified water. Here's our purification tablets. Yay. Resources. Under crafting, we should now, under consumables, we have purified water. I'm going to change that back to blue, but you can see here one uses a water purification filter and the other one uses 2 tablets. So now, is the list maxed out over there on the craft parts? Or are the water purification tablets showing up in a different section? So I was curious. No, so it shows on here. It's just when you do the crafting, they have like a max slots, I guess, on the craft parts. Oh, well, that's that's gonna be a bit of a problem. I mean, I guess only if you're trying to actually read the different parts while doing the crafting. That is kind of annoying. But okay, so now we have old world bottled water, which we can sell. We have the actual purification filters. We have contaminated water. If we go over here to our backpack, you can see we have tablets. From our crafting menu, we can go down here to consumables and we can actually craft purified water. So I'm going to make a purified water there, and we'll make a purified water here. Both result in the same thing. You can see that we used up all of our contaminated water bottles. We'll find more in the world. And if we go to inventory, you should see that we now have purified water. As I mentioned, those are the same thing right now. We can change that in the future to where they are unique. But let's make sure that these are actually working as expected here. Actually healing. Not sure why that buff wasn't working last time, but let's make sure this is actually working as expected. I like that I can just kind of like, yeah, see, there we go. So it's slightly healing the player. We're taking it. So the buff is working, so here in the future, when we add the actual survivor thirst and everything, we can confirm that that is all working as expected. So now we have water in the game, y'all. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and do the split. Let's go ahead and do a backup of what we got. So let's go ahead and say stash or save. And we're going to say added 30 water. Old world. Bottled water. Purification, crafting, purified water. And we're going to post that. Shot that new branch as well. So from here, any little small edits, we can at least confirm that everything was working as expected and we don't have to double back. I did not check the meshes, but I'm assuming next time around, someone ping me on here. I'm going to remember to do that. So we have purified water. What we can do is say tablets, and this is going to break everything. So we have to go update all the names, but then we'll say filtered, and we'll have these two different values. Basically, that buff can now be split out between the two, and the filtered will be better quality. So what we'll actually do is we'll say like the tablets, we'll actually, instead of just doing the blue before, we'll actually go ahead and start coloring these a little bit so that we can, hopefully the user will know that they're slightly better than one another by doing that. So we have that for a buff. Let's go ahead and set up a buff specific to drinking water. So we currently have a food buff. Let's go ahead and set up a water buff. So let's call this buff ID water. Call this one water for now, and it will add health. So sorry I'm clicking around a lot here. If you guys have questions as I'm going, drop it. As I mentioned before, I move pretty fast while I do these things. It's the only way I can get this much done. So do water, and water will continue to do 5 as well. So we've got water, and then we've got water. We've got water, and then we've got tablets. So water filtered, and then actually I'm going to go ahead and just do this. So we're going to have bottled, filtered, and tablets. And we're going to go ahead and upgrade we're going to upgrade the bottled water as well. Personally, I think the valuable items is kind of stupid because they're completely useless. They just kind of sit there until you want to sell them. We're going to call this bottled water. Same thing. The price will be 300. Water reward. It'll use. I don't think I checked any of the meshes, but we'll go ahead and say bottle E. Probably gonna have to update that, and then color is blue. And then this applies like 50. So you get a reward for having more or having better water. Same thing on the buff. So we need to essentially say water bottled. I'm going to call them the same thing. So I think we can just get away with going ahead and doing it like this. We're going to grab this name as well, cut that, paste it down below. And I think that's everything here. We can just kill that. So water has been upgraded to an actual med kit. And you to make a use for them. Hey, Effort Fighter, I'm not sure I understood entirely what you were asking in that last question. Let's see, tablets. So let's go in here and add, nope, wrong one. Broken game, everybody's upset. We're gonna cut this as well, so that way this is like, and what you could do is, no, because that does like the upgrade process. So we're not gonna upgrade any of this. So it's have like basic dirty water with tablets. And then we'll have dirty water, cleaned filter. And then down here we'll have bottled water, never been opened. So people have notes there if they want it. All right, so we have water filtered, water tablets, and water bottled. So then we need to go add these all on buffs as well. So we originally had water, so all of these need to be upgraded. It's actually going to be 3 different things. So we're going to have water starting from the top, water tablets, which goes to water tablets, water filtered goes to water filtered, and water bottled, which goes to water bottled. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying there, the effort fighter. Basically, that's what I've started to do is I've started to take all of their valuable objects that they had in there initially, and I'm trying to pull them over and actually make them useful. So you don't end up with a whole stack of valuable objects that you just sell, but actually turn each one of those into something more interesting. You can let me know and be the judge of whether or not that actually pans out. Hopefully it does. But from here, let's go water bottled, healing definitions. This needs to be 50, water filtered. Let's go ahead and meet halfway, say like 15, and water tablets is 5. So we technically have 3 new types of water, and we need to update our stash here with everything that's appropriate, and then also our craftables. So over in the craftables section, we're actually going to go in here and say water filtered will actually make purified water filtered, and water tablets will make this one instead. And let's go ahead and swap those around by order of importance. And so kind of the hope here is that, like, for example, each one takes 3 bottled water. So you have to collect a good amount of water, but the purification tablets, you have to find 2 of them and it does less good. It's considered a white object. And then the filtered water is considered a green object and provides, maybe even we'll say like it provides you 2 water bottles. So the first one only gives you 1 to 2 and the other one always gives you like 2. And that way we get water actually useful in the game. As always, we have to go and confirm and actually make sure all of this worked as expected. Got a lot of changes here from the other ones, so let's go and we'll stage all those and let's go ahead and just launch and confirm each one of these works. And every now and then I like to actually just clear out the data too completely, drag everything back in just in case. I learned that one the hard way from where people would get additional bugs. If you start clean every time, guarantees that you've actually got all the files that are needed and you don't have crashes somewhere you weren't expecting. Has anybody else thought of? I'm going to keep pinging you guys just to see if anybody else thinks of anything fun. Like, for example, any fun electronics that you would like to see in the world, or food. I'm going to move over here in a second and start making a bunch of different foods in the game and stuff like that. So, anything that you guys think would be kind of a fun idea, I'm happy to go ahead and throw that in the game, to be honest. I'm going to make up some things here in a second. But it helps to have some of your guys' feedback into the mod. So if we go in here, we grab our can here, you can see that we get all of our different ones. And actually, I'm going to grab one more just in case we need to do some testing here. I think I need to be able to see the meshes as well. So let's grab each one. And then if you see here under crafting and we go to consumables, we should now have a white purified water. I need to update the definition of water that has been purified versus ones that use the filter. So you can see we got the 3 to 2 to. So if I craft this, amount produced is 2 and 1. And so that is correct. And then the heals for is not correct. So that's why we do this. So the heals for is actually going to be, I guess this is pulling the data from here. So the heals for the tablets is 5, this is 15, and that's 50. So fixed. If we go over to our inventory and we no longer should have old world. Yeah, here it is. So we have our old world bottled water. Where is my, so that heals for 50. But where is my, maybe I forgot to update the names. So if we go to crafting, go to here, craft. Yeah, I probably just forgot the names, but these, yeah, okay. 2 and 1. So more than likely I just forgot to update those names in there. So we have 3 different types of water now. So I've added canned food right now. So we have basic canned food, but I'm about to get more expressive with that. Like you can have different types of canned food. You could have meat. I know that they've got like salamis and hams and all sorts of stuff hidden around this world that are just sitting there waiting to be used. So I think it's going to be fun to kind of add some of those as well. So I can take a chunk out. Up.
It's a stimulant their fighters already use.
Yep. Okay, so we have healing from old world water. If we go in here, we can say purified water. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay, we updated that. So here's purified water, should be healing for 15, so let's get another chunk out. Yep. That's healing for 15. At least that looks like 15. And then the last one is purified water. We'll do it. There it goes. Okay. There we go. And I forgot to check the bottles. All right, hang on. Let's see if we can get up here. All right. Please, did I have enough for another one? Okay. Those. One of those. And then, did I use up all the old world? No, I didn't. Okay, so if we say drop. Yeah, okay, it's like the, so that's that bottle, which is like a wine bottle. I can't decide if I want like that one without a texture or if I want like something stupid like that. I think that's fine. It makes a clink noise and all that, so the other one doesn't make any noise. Looks like that one's not. So that's the canteen. Oh, it dropped. I swear that just moved. So something just blew into it. Maybe the new, even though they had one that was like new version, maybe that doesn't actually work. But do they have cans? Maybe they have can meshes. Hang on. Let's see. Can. Watering can. And then what do we do? Add a gap there. Caviar can. They have caviar, y'all. Coffee can. Garbage can A closed. Okay, well, guess what? Time for some beer. Yep, we can absolutely do that, Jorge. Nope, we're making beer. It's going to have a buff to it and everything. All right, so it's going to be under food. We're going to have, let's see, it's going to be not a craft component. It'll be it'll be essentially the same thing as bottled water. I like it. Thank you for throwing out that idea. And then also, anybody else throw anything else? No, that doesn't make sense. From people generally tend to take more. Yep, absolutely. Can't feel as much pain, and you're also got the blurred vision. I like it. So under food, let's actually go in here and just create a new one. Say drinks. I'm not kidding. If you guys think of anything else, just keep throwing them out. Let's do it. N O beer. Cano beer. Oh, what was the other thing? Before we move on, let's make sure I update these terrible descriptions. We have this can be used purify. What are those been purified? Purification tablets. Dirty water has been purified from purified tablets by filter. All right, so at least that's some description updates. And before we move on, let's go ahead and say, I got to do this really quick before I get everything cluttered. Got excited by that idea and then cluttered everything up. So we hit save. Yep, stash. Water is tested and working. 3 versions of drinkable water. Exciting, y'all. That was quick. We have some survivor elements in there now. All right. Can of beer. And, maybe I'll break out a beer while we make it. Hey, Michael. Thanks for joining. Actually, I was I was actually kind of shocked. So they added the code for disassembling, but dismantling. Let's try that. Well, I'm gonna actually, when I launch back in, remind me if I don't do it because they added the code to where we should be able to dismantle stuff at this point. But I have never used it, so let's try that out. All right, so we got garbage. Oh, that's a garbage can. I'm an idiot. Let's see. That's not an actual can. That's a freaking garbage can. Loot. Okay. Okay. Can A. Loot. Okay. Can. Here's loot. Okay. Bottle. Bleach. Okay. Bottle. Well, anything's better than that wine bottle. We're actually going to try this on the. Going to try this on the water and see what happens. Let's see what happens if we update this with this loot okay bottle. I don't know what that is, but we're gonna find out. And then for the purified water filter, the canteen didn't work. So let's get rid of this new version. And the other one was canteen. So let's get rid of this just in case they pulled new version out. They were testing with it or some nonsense. So that should fix that. Head back up to our can of beer. And we got a can here, so let's throw this on here. And we'll see if we can get a can of beer going. All right, so the buff, this is actually where it gets kind of fun, is where they already have the concept of drunk in here. I love it. So they use this for when you get head butted. And so when you get head butted, what we're going to do is we're not going to use this. We're actually going to use what I already set up. You can see here, I use this on my morphine, but couldn't get it to work where it also added health. For some reason, ran into some problem where that was happening. And so let's just go in here and call this beer. No, we're going to stick with my can O beer. That way I know that it's a can. And we're going to get rid of those. And for now, we're going to add this drunk effect. And we need to also add a duration. So basically we go down here and what we can do is grab this duration, hit reset. And I'm telling you guys, like I could not have done this back in March or any of that. Like it took a long time to figure out how to do some of this stuff. But like now that I know how to do it, this stuff is so much like there's just there's just so much stuff that you could actually do here. So you can stack it. So the more you do it, the worse it gets. Hopefully, we'll see. Duration is like 25. I don't know why you would do this. I have to add the properties to where it does damage resistance, which I think is going to be under rage. So if we go in here and say rage, that's my Forester, potion rage. They essentially do the same thing. We're going to steal some of these other ones. And then ragdoll probability, move acceleration. We don't want any of that. Damage reduction. Hey. I like this better than I like the rage inhaler. So it's going to make you stronger and it's going to do damage reduction. I might have to modify this because I don't know what the hell. This is probably all way too much. But for now, we will have our weaker version of this. So we're going to lower some of these things down. We don't want it to be too crazy here. And we're going to get rid of this ragdoll. But essentially, and then you drink like coffee allows you to run faster or something, but then it gives you like a burnout. Like after a period of time, there's a lot of post effects that I want to look into, and that's where like this fatigue and all this other stuff comes into it. Is like as you don't drink, as you don't eat, you get slower, whatever that is. We need to look into some of that to see what that looks like. And then towel. Biggs. Tao, who's also on the Discord server, he's actually testing multiplayer right now, apparently. So people have had some crashes with the latest version, and we're not sure whether or not that's due to the 1.81 update or not. But if you guys have any details or continue to um, see things from the new updates with co-op, I don't have enough time to where I'm actually testing co-op, and so anytime you see those, please let me know so that way I can continue to round those out because this mod is designed for co-op. It is co-op friendly. I just do not have as much time to try co-op. See damage definitions. Open this up. And go to the rage buff. And it pretty much just buffs everything. Damage reduction. So what's the other one though? It does strength multiplier. They got them scattered all over the place. No, wait. Okay, so let's go back. Buff. Are they all the same? Damage buff is the same. Damage reduction is different. No, hang on. Did it take me to the same place? Damage buff, damage reduction. Oh, it's right here. Okay. So basically, all we need to do to update this, make sure that we're in the mod, all we need to do is go in here and say, and we're going to do this down at the bottom so that we're not getting these all mixed up. We already have some things. We're going to say damage multiplier O beer. This was damage buff. And then we're going to have damage reduction. So let's change this, drop that. And basically, you know, we won't be as dramatic as this. It also stacks. So more than likely, we'll actually go in here and do something like that. So the more beer you drink, the more powerful you become. Let's go back over to buffs. We're going to swap these out for Cano beer. All right. And that's that. So then under our beer, we're going to change this to Cano beer. And usable on max health is true. And it does not have healing. So that's the thing, is I think I need to go over to rage. Potion rage, damage dealt, those, and then say beer. Steal those, and we'll say something like 25. Duration is going to be 25 seconds. And beer. Nope, we're going to just call this like beer. No, we could. This is just, it's called beer. Who has a good name? What are we calling this? Just call it beer? Can of beer? A refreshing can of beer to aid in your fight and travels. All right, I'm gonna watch. You guys have any names? You drop them. Just call it beer for now. I still like the can of beer, but I can't add the freaking dash. So it's gonna just be Cano beer. I'm gonna call it Cano beer for now. If you guys have a better name that you like, you just let me know. This one's gonna be green. Use time is 1. Price. Can you put a price on a good can of beer? Cano beer. Let's add this to our inventory prototypes. So this is going to be our purification. I think we could probably move away from water for now. We'll continue to come back to it, but I'm going to actually move this over to the food. And what I'll actually do is I'll create a loot called water bundle. And that way, if I ever need to spawn it again, it's right there. So we'll just continue to make these as we go. So this one's going to be Cano beer. And for the bottle, I guess this is going to be the same thing as like wine. Valuables wine. Is there anybody know of an icon that looks like beer? Like a can? You see search. Does this still have, it doesn't say icon. Can is going to show everything. Garbage can. Can unlock. Garbage can. Yeah, it doesn't have anything in there. Say can. Time it's going to be, a lot of things. Yeah, because it's finding. Let's see. Let's just add wine for now. We'll come back to that. The valuables wine. beer. And let's spawn it. Let's see what we're working with here. Beer, check, check, check. And this should still be loot bundle. Let me make sure. Yep. And this happens every now and then. It gets into like a launch cycle, and then I click on something else, and it actually just fails. And it'll even create a crash log where it basically just says like it doesn't have authority or something. So, and usually you launch again and it goes away. Here in a second, I'm probably going to take a break and grab some lunch, and then I'll come back to this. So I'm planning on working on this for a good little bit. So if you guys want to write your ideas down or continue to brainstorm, we're going to add coffee. We're going to add, and that's the best thing. Coffee, you can make it to where it increases your ability to sprint, short bursts, something like that. Have it to where if you drink too much coffee, like it actually, you have burnout. There's all sorts of things we can try to do. It's going to be early pass, just to get the concepts in, and then the more we play with this, the more that's obviously going to evolve into something more fun. But as you're playing around the world now, you can actually find water, you can actually find some beer, and those actually have effects. So for now, water just heals, but here once I flush out the survivor mode, because the idea here is I want to push this today. So anything that I'm making here, you should actually get in the game immediately. They even added the little grapes to it. I can't use that icon. It's got grapes. It's clearly not beer. Um, and so I want to push this out today so that you guys can actually enjoy some of the stuff that's being made while we're actually making it, to continue to get you ideas percolating for the next time. So let's take it. Ah, ha, ha, look at that. Hey, we're drunk.
Hell, they're going to attack old Villador. And when they do, nobody there will survive. Nobody.
Right. Go in here and
This group.
should I wonder if you can make it to where it's like your aim gets worse. I'm gonna absolutely make that to where if you're drunk, your aim gets worse. That is something I think I actually know how to do, and something I would love to see. So about 25 seconds and it goes away. Let's grab this again. Oops. Yeah, so I agree with people about this new cut through thing. There's some actual armor, and so you can see it hit that resistance there. But on that colors, I mean, I have been since I've gotten on the mod. People have been asking for that bounce since I started on this, so I know that bounce is something that people have actually been requesting. It sounds like they just did a crappy job with it, but hopefully here in the future, shit, need some more beer. Shit, get some beer. But this way in the future, before you go fight your bosses, if you really want to up your damage and all that, you can just go, you can hit some beers and then go attack the world. That sucker don't want to go down. I also like with the fog that you're not really able to like see these guys. But okay, so let's get away from them for a second and let's go stack this and see if it's stacking properly. You're still coming. All right, here we go. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! That does actually look like it's stacked. Damn. Oh, that is nauseating. All right, so I think probably the goal there is to make it to where it doesn't do it as bad until you really start to stack it up. And then I wonder if the duration should be longer. What do you guys think? Is that something that, should the duration of that be something that like you drink a beer and the buzz wears off after like a minute? Or is that something to keep really short so you keep having to drink while you're like ideally would people want to play to where you get hammered and then go fight a boss, or would you want to play it to where you like keep taking them? So you take like one at a time and you keep buffing with it as you play. Um, that actually worked surprisingly well. That's actually pretty funny. So let's go to buffs, and I'm gonna actually see if we can turn this down a little bit because that was a lot. So let's see if we can do more like 0.2, and maybe that will stack. Input lag, probably all of these probably need to go down to 0.2 because having one beer basically made it to where you wouldn't want to you wouldn't actually want to play with that like ever. People just won't use it. I could try 60 seconds and just see, and then you can have like you can have a 12 pack. You only have a 12 pack at a time. And then you die. Make it to where you OD on alcohol or drugs. You could just literally make it to where people could just take a shit ton of them and just, that's it. Start a timer, and you have just like in 5 minutes, you'll actually just die. All right. It's morbid, not really funny, but yeah. So let's say 60 seconds exactly. Become the drunken master. So there's beer. We have beer in the game. Let's do wine while we're here because wine I can actually make really easily because um, we already have a bottle of wine. We already know that there is. Oh, I never threw the can down, so we'll come back to the can here. But I also saw that there's this gauze sponges. I'm gonna actually, I've been trying to like as I see stuff, I just copy it out. But I'm gonna do this loot okay. Well, I copied it once, so I can come back to this. But you have like all these loot values that they added here. I wonder how many of these are not actually like what does rice mesh look like? I wonder. Scrap, shoes, smartphone, soaps, tools. There's a bunch of different toolboxes. You can do vodka. Ooh, that's kind of fun. We're going to expand on the we're going to expand on the drinking component of the game today. Bottle of wine, wine to calm your rage. I'm gonna like get written up for like all these different things of bringing this stuff to the game. People are gonna be like, "You're promoting alcoholism." A bottle of wine to calm your nerves before battle. And then this one, so if the last one was green, we'll do blue for this one. It can have so if we go to bottle, it was bottle E, I think. Yeah, bottle E was the bottle of wine. Over here. And then I think the drop sounds are tagged with that. Yeah, I think they're on the actual code itself attached to the mesh. So let's see, it's 2 o'clock. I'll go a little bit longer here. The buff, if we go over to buffs, we can now go in here, which I think I probably also need to just go ahead and do this. So let's grab all these different ones that I've made at this point, and let's get these out of this common area and actually go down to the bottom here. Because I'm pretty sure I've got, yeah, so I've got my outfit groups, armor classes, volatile. So you can see I've actually got quite a few things already. Let's go in here and say add, and then this is going to be consumables. So under the can of beer, we're actually going to add bottle of wine. And then basically for each one of these, we can even use some excellent reading material that they have on alcoholism and the different ones and the effects that they cause. Can get in some messages here about what alcohol and trying to do things cause and do. So say wine, keep off the rest of that there with the wine. And for each one, we'll go in here and add a little bit more. So the buff, that needs to be updated. So it's a 1 damage buff. Then a Sunday, just, throwing alcohol into a game that doesn't have alcohol nor really wants alcohol. Let's see. You can only take 6 of these suckers. Because I'm guessing this is not going to go very far. I'm guessing with how I've raised those, 6 of these would actually be like a good. Let's see, this is going to be like 35. Bottled wine. Go ahead and go to prototypes. Grab some wine. And then with each one of these, this will actually, and I don't know whether or not you can't make wine out of the valuables. So it's one of those things of where with the valuables that were already in there, technically you can go sell these as valuables if you wanted to. So my thought for each one of these is that basically these will replace. So I don't necessarily need to get rid of them in the inventory side. That way people can keep the ones that they currently have, but I'll update the loot to where the loot you then get bottles of wine instead of valuable bottle of wine. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to do it. And so then just for shits and giggles here, we're here, why not? We'll also go ahead and say bottle vodka. I know we got vodka, and I've seen whiskey in there as well. So we've got whiskey in there as well. Now, I don't think we have an icon for whiskey, but I know we have a whiskey bottle that I've seen in there. So let's go to buffs. Go ahead and save some time here. We'll say vodka. And we'll make this to where you can just get belligerent with this. So it's only going to be 3 stacks. It'll last for 120. So that's going to punch this up to a violet. And drunk effect is going to be like, we're going to take this back up to like 4. And what I'm going to do is that with each one, the roll angle will be less, but the lag will go back up to like, yeah. So this way the roll effect will be less because it's like people report different things with different alcohols. Vodka is more on the range side, I think, is what I'll try to build in here. Not a big drinker of vodka, so you guys go ahead and start to contradict me if you feel another way. But what we'll do is we'll go in here and add this. We'll hike it up to 20. Hike that up to 7. And we'll call this vodka. Vodka. this will cause bottle of vodka, bottle of vodka. Drop up that 50. This is actually 9. Nope, we made this like 120, and this is going to be 90. And also with a lot of these things, it's kind of like, if people want to change some of these things, then we'll change them. So any feedback that people have on these things, keep me posted. Um, I don't want to make the game like ridiculous as far as like I don't want it to be like something that you guys don't enjoy as much because I've added something that makes it hacky or cheaty or anything like that. But it's one of those things where like the game itself just doesn't really have a lot of some of these things, and so because of that, it's like why not? Um, why not add some of this? Because oh, and I never tried the toilet paper. All right, so this is going to actually be a very specific bottle of vodka, and then I think it has its own icon. So we can actually, let's search for some of these things. Use this. Okay. Does have that. And then pickup sounds. You can use new pickup sounds, which is fun. That will be default. And then let's check with wine really quick because if this has some specific things, it uses loot bottle B. So let's actually go back down. I actually like E, but maybe we'll save that. I'm gonna take a look again and just see which one I like better here. Well, I'm actually so I'm working on the ability to drink right now, Dante. So if you need it for the storyline, if you're just like, oh God, here's another storyline, technically now you could get wasted and enjoy the ending of the story through a blurred haze if it didn't quite do it for you. Let's see, vodka. Let's do a whiskey while we're at it. The C, which I think that was C. It was a whiskey, bottle of whiskey. So we'll go ahead and drop or up this, and this will be bottle C, I think, is what the whiskey bottle was. So we'll say C. Oh. Okay. So then we need to go over to buffs. Should have just done all of them at once. Bottle whiskey. 50, stacks 3. And we'll go ahead and up these just slightly. And I'm gonna have to test what these actually look like. I'm not sure if this is gonna go well. But we'll try it all out at once and just see what we hate, keep what we like. So whiskey will even just up a little bit more. And this will be a orange. Check, check, check. Up the price, bottle of whiskey. And let's go to inventory and say, don't they have? They do have whiskey. Oh, I didn't realize they actually, and they're saying it's D. So let's actually just switch that over. I'm good with that. Saving me more time. All right, and so loot, bottle of liquid, check. Color violet, check. Much more expensive. And that should all be correct. And it has its own icon. And I'm gonna check. There's got to be a can of something, or like an actual, not like canned food, but like a can of something, soda, or there's got to be an icon that's closer. So let's go in here. We should now have bottled whiskey. Check. Which uses, I didn't update these. Uses these damage definitions for whiskey. And check. And so now we need to make sure that that's, yep. Okay. So then prototypes, we now have a bottle of wine. We have a bottle of vodka. Whiskey. And we are going to change these. This is actually, we'll keep it for now. I'll change the icon when we get there. But so that should be it. Let's go ahead and launch. Tal came back. Hopefully, not sure we get anything about a recent crash. It looks like they are getting a crash from multiplayer. Connection failed. At near the bottom there. Leaving guest, co-op guest. Guest mode. Oh, I bet it's the sanctuary code. Ah, crash happening around spawning. Yeah, I bet that's what's happening there. Is that the more and more I've messed with the sanctuary code, I bet it's messing up the sync. Their respawn values or something's getting screwy. Now players are going to be able to explore into the buildings to find alcohol to help the storyline make more sense. And I wonder if the drunk effects, like I wonder if you can if you can drink one of the things and then right before you do like a story, like a cinematic, I wonder if the cinematic will then be affected by being drunk. All right, so we had beer so far. That got us off on this whole direction here. Does anybody else have any ideas or things? So I'm going to switch over to add more food here in a second. So we have like small snacks right now, and then we have actual canned food. But I haven't gone and found any of the other different types of food to add. Does anybody else have any other ideas of what they would like to have added? Okay, so that does give different bottles, which is nice. If we go over to, let me grab the different ones really quick. And then if we go over here to crafting. Yeah, there is. Cans. All right. There we go. There's our Cano beer right there. You guys let me forget about cans. Can. Oh no. That'd be like can. Can of beer. Canned food. Craft pigments. Container. Craft container. Craft container. I wonder if that's what it is that it's like a container. Craft cans. They have cans. Craft cans. Electric parts. I bet metal containers use to hold liquids and other materials. Yeah. So it's literally container. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll go ahead and update our can of beer right now. There we go. That's fine. All right.
Finally.
So let's go to our inventory. And first and foremost, we're going to start with some beer, can of beer, which that will become white. I think I'm going to take, I don't know. I like the orange whiskey. Let's see. So then we have our wine. Our wine should be purple. I mean, that's only accurate. And then I guess technically you could do the colors in the background to the actual colors of the liquid if you wanted. All right, starting with a can of beer.
And when they do, nobody there will survive. Nobody.
And I think I probably need to go back up and get better
They hold
weapon.
prize fights here in the city.
Just because the weapon that I've got,
What they're really up
it
to
was
is
not
way
very
worse
good for doing this like
They plan to
damage
release the
testing.
chemical into
So
Old
let's
Villador.
do
It's a
all this while
stimulant
being
that
drunk.
fires
That
always.
is more of an effect than I would like. But let's go in here and grab like a mall object pyramid blade. Let's grab some stuff and start going out and doing some damage here.
Use.
All going. Oh,
Turns them into fearless,
all right. So let's go test this out.
fuckers. But it would kill regular folks. There's only one way to stop them, and that's to infiltrate them. Qualify for the tournament and get your ass inside Carnage Hall. I'll find you there.
Well, there's that new grab in action. See, they are trying to do this like with the slow-mo and everything. I get what they're going for with these new animations. I'm sorry that people are frustrated, but especially with that X-ray. I mean, I don't know how long it's been. I think people are just not playing Dying Light 1 as much anymore. But I would say that's definitely, I mean, especially with the reactions. I mean, they've just gotten so much better. That looks so much better than the beginning of the game. Back when I first played this. I mean, I was like horrified by the original animations. All right, let's try a different one. And then also, let's get some more alcohol going here. And let's see if the stacking works correctly. See why people would be frustrated with that. Boink. But I'm sure they'll fix that. It's good if it does the, oh, I live. Wow. Okay. Well, let's drink some alcohol. And then we'll heal up. Perfect. Okay. So I think also I'll add a status effect as well, because currently all this is happening. It would help to know when this is going to end, because right now, you know, you're just like, shit, when is this no longer going to be blurry? To be honest, I kind of really like the X-ray effect while drunk. Not really sure this is the way to play the game, but let's switch over to whiskey and just see, because we're playing around with some of those settings, and so I'm not sure how much of that is actually. Here, let's grab this heavy duty. I think with Mir, these guys can really take a hit now. All right, that finally wore off, and man, is it telling. It's only a little time drunk that you really start to appreciate not being drunk. All right, so let's go ahead and try a whiskey. See what we're working with here. Whoa! Okay, so I can confirm that that is definitely working. What if I do another one? Good God. And another one? All right, so that is 3 things of whiskey, and you can like your movement. There's such a delay on your movement. Like you just die immediately. Like the input lag. It's like I'm running, and it's like barely keeps up. All right, that's kind of funny. Oof. It definitely hurts your eyes though. So I think probably if it can do all of this, then I think the goal here is to reduce this somewhat, but make it to where by the time they take the final one, so whatever the count is for whichever beer or whichever drink. So if you reach the maximum amount, then it will result in something similar to this, so that you are like inebriated. But hopefully that will also then stack the actual damage that you're doing, so that makes it worth it somehow, to where you'd actually ever do this. But I do like the fact you can't even tell like who's a friend and who's a foe. It's like you just have some people standing out here. Oh no, and actually, hang on, did I freeze? Check to make sure that this is still streaming. It looks like. Let me refresh YouTube. Yeah, it did. It lagged out. I'm sorry, guys. So, for some reason, my streaming software or whatever, I lost my connection to. Um, my streaming connection was lost, but you can see here. So, welcome back, Effect. So you can see here. This is drinking a couple of whiskeys, and that's gonna. Yeah. Okay. So that's good because that means cinematic movies and everything are going to be affected by being drunk, which I'm also very excited to see what that actually looks like. So I really do wonder if there's a way that you could add overdosing. But I like how the vision slowly came back and then it was back. I feel very wavy from all that. George, thanks for being here. Jorge, thanks for being here, and I hope you have a good day on that side. Thanks for your feedback on the mod. So let's try vodka. Drink a whole bottle of vodka. See, again, I'm not sure why you would want to do this. So I'm going to have to turn down the values to where, I mean, that's a whole bottle of vodka. Am I wrong? What happens if I keep going? Oh, it like increases the spinniness of it. Ugh. It definitely affects your ability to move. What a trippy way to play the game. But I love that they added these effects to the game, but like, why is it not in the game to where you could actually ever see this? Bizarre. All right, well, I'm glad to see it's all working. I'm probably going to reduce some of it. Whew, messes with your vision for sure. I'm going to reduce some of it. Super buggy. All right, so really quick, Tao, as I mentioned earlier, Tao is on here trying to actually fix or test the multiplayer. So it looks like the multiplayer is actually um, having some issues. It sounds like some people are, he's reported that it's a little weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go in here and I'm going to rename this to data 2. And I'm going to shred everything out of this. And what I'm going to do is, um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to send him the latest version, but I'm going to try to keep the prefabs out of there. Because I think with some of these, I think it's actually where I'm doing so much now with the prefabs, which is different from anything I've done previously. And I think by shredding those, it actually won't cause any issues. But I may, as I'm continuing to modify this game so heavy, I may have to come up with a version that's specifically designed um, for co-op. Okay, so back to this. That was fun, but I won't lie, I'm a little like oof after doing that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna drastically. I will say that I do feel like these are working. That you can scale these, and 3 is the max stacks for each one of these, and I feel like that's accurate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce these down some more. I didn't try wine. I didn't throw them all on the ground, so I needed to actually test that. I think maybe I jumped a little far with these. So what I'm going to do is potentially drop these even lower, um, so that way do more like this because we want the player to still be able to actually like play the game and enjoy the game while doing these because then they're just never going to use them otherwise. So we want them to be able to actually use these. And so what I might do is for each one of these, for the drunk effect for these, drop this down to like 0.5. Again, make it like the actual alcohol content of beer or the legal limit kind of thing. After you drink this much, you have this much on the legal limit. Um, but let's see, 0, and then this one we can do like, this one would do like 0.7 and with lag, because I mean that was bad enough to where I couldn't really move around the map. Like I basically just would never play with that. But we'll test that. Alrighty. So we should have from this. I wish there was a way to make like the first one do one effect and then the next one so that it like if you've taken one, the next one will do the next tier. And so I may research that a little bit more to see if there's a way to do that with the code. So that you take like one beer and it does one thing, the next beer does a different thing, et cetera, so that, so it's not just linearly scaling across each one. Um, but it does look, I hate that YouTube messed up there for a second. I'm assuming everybody was able to see the drunk effects, but it may not have actually worked. So that should have updated those. Let's go check the different containers and everything really quickly and make sure that those are actually getting thrown on the ground correctly. And I guess that's a good point. If this doesn't work out, there is the container. Let's see what the container one actually uses. Oh, I was there. Loot container. Well, I mean, I think we can save some time here and just do the crush can. Because I think that's actually perfect. So we'll do the crush can. So we should throw cans on the ground. I hate that it's crushed though. Let's try this other can first. If that doesn't work, then we'll try the crush can. It'll be better than nothing. And then after this, I think I'm gonna step away, grab some lunch, and actually stretch, that kind of thing, and then we'll come back and we'll continue with this here in a second. Oh, I like that. Okay, so you're saying like if you find different versions of the wine, so you have like actual different types of wine and different types of whiskey and stuff like that, so that way you have stronger versions and that kind of thing. Is that correct? Effort. Oh, I started out drunk. Oh, and I forgot to add the status effect. Oh, you're talking about building up tolerances. Oof, there's all sorts of things you could do if you figured out that system. As far as like meds and that kind of thing. So while this wears off, let me actually go ahead and so underneath each one of these, you can actually do a HUD icon. And so what we'll do is for each one, we'll go ahead and go in here and add each HUD icon. Well, it's good to see that this definitely serialized because the fact that this status effect came back, you start the game out with that condition is very interesting. I didn't think that kind of thing was built into the game, but I am also curious about things like multiplayer and stuff like that. What does that mean as far as like drinking and that sinking? Is there an effect that plays if you're under a condition? Like, for example, it's only ever supposed to really be used if you get headbutted. So is there some way that by doing this, it's actually going to show like your players sitting there going like, or something like that? That would actually be kind of cool. Piano beer. Excellent. We got a can. Yeah, so with the tolerance system, I don't know, that gets into a whole new area of things to balance, but I think that would be a very interesting thing to see if you could achieve. Um, with this drunk effect, I wish maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll try to actually, I mean, it is the drunk effect, but maybe I can actually go in there and modify the drunk effect itself. And that's not bad. And again, it's meant to represent like you drink a whole can of it. So I could see it. So let's do another, and another, and another. So that's 6 beers in. Assuming, let me make sure it's actually streaming out still. It's pretty delayed on my side, so hopefully you guys are seeing this. Um, and that's actually working still. Weird. Um, so that's beer. What I'm gonna do is actually, yeah, I apologize. I meant to swap between full screen and that crop. So I'm just using the crop to focus in on the desktop and zoom in so everybody can read the screen a little bit better. Um, that I get on the game screen that is not as good. But I do like the fact that like you're a little bit hazy. That effect, it definitely is accurate. I feel like 6 beers in, and that just wore off. So let's go in here and try, something a little bit stronger. So let's go in here and try wine. So if we do a bottle of wine, can definitely tell that it has a stronger effect. Let's do another bottle, another bottle, another bottle. So I think the max on that is 6. But I can still play with this. This is still completely playable. Um, and so this makes it a little bit more fun to where, yes, it would be a little bit more challenging to fight while drunk, but I think that's kind of the whole point is that roll and lag, just makes it slightly harder to play. Jump down and fight while inebriated. I'm actually surprised more people haven't started complaining about the new grabs. I feel like that's all the zombies do now is just grab the player. There we go. Line wore off. So then if we go in here and say, let's switch. Oh, now we can just go here. So let's do vodka. You can only do 3 of these. And this is where it starts to do more. So you can definitely tell immediately with the vodka that I'm doing more damage than I previously was. Uh, the effect is stronger, but the lag delay is there, but the rolling is not, is kind of the idea. And so I think this allows you to be kind of a little bit more with it while fighting, while also having this effect, which is still just, this effect is actually pretty good for a rendering engine to pull off this kind of like circle effect that's actually happening, even though it's super subtle. That's some ever clear to this shit. Start adding super like powerful alcohols that just immediately. Also, I just broke the guy's head, but he stood back up. Those effects are interesting, but I'm not sure they're actually like, I'm not sure they actually have the code in here to where it's if you break something. So I just broke his leg. But I feel like he's shambling like he normally would. I don't feel like he's changed his play style or anything like that. And it makes a difference. It really does. So then let's say whiskey. Pissed everybody off here. 3 things of whiskey. Lag is there. You can definitely tell. Okay. I think I'm pretty happy with this just because I feel like I could still run through the city if I wanted to. I mean, I would absolutely not recommend it. I feel like I absolutely could. And that's kind of the idea is that you could still play, but that you get certain bonuses for doing so. But yes, I think each one of these could potentially have like its own could potentially have its own little. Let me refresh again. For some reason, when I'm going into the game, it's messing up. So I apologize. Make sure this is still working. So I think with each one of these, you could definitely have a more like legendary version of them that would actually cause the effects more or cause more damage or the quality. So you could have like old, an old bottle of whiskey, which would actually cause more effects and less damage. And then you have like better grades of whiskey that, cause less effects and more damage. I think you could be really, playful with this. But I think I'm gonna step away for a little bit and I'm gonna try to take a break and get some food and relax for a little bit. And then I'll be back on and continue to crawl through here. But I appreciate your guys' feedback. I really enjoyed this. I was able to actually come up with quite a few things here, I think, and I think we can continue down this path when I get back. But the food system should be in here pretty soon. Next, I'm gonna have to actually go and do the thirst, which I thought about the alcohol. So the alcohol actually, when you take the alcohol, it also lessens your hydration. So you actually end up getting more thirsty while drinking. Things to think about. Things to balance. All right, thanks, guys. Look forward to talking to you guys here in a little bit. I'm going to try again here in a little bit.